Welcome back. This is video number 2 of floor framing components. In video number 1, we discussed some of the lower parts of the structure, which would be the footers, the foundation walls, sill plates, termite shields, anchor bolts. We also discussed some supporting structural pieces like girders and pier posts and columns. Today, we're going to get into some of the joists. We're going to start with those. So I'm going to jump down to the right page. Here we go. Header joist and rim joist. Notice how they are different colors, and notice how they've got different names, because that correlates with which side of the structure it's on. I'll get more into that in just a minute. But as far as the name of them, depending on who you work with, they might call them different names. Like when I was working, we called them the outer band, because it went around the outside of the structure. Some people will call them band joists. Some people will call them all header joists. Some people will call them all rim joists. But if you really want to get technical and really want to understand it, the header joist runs one particular direction and the rim joist runs a different direction. So let's get into definitions. Remember, you're going to need a piece of paper and a pencil handy to copy these things down. And you can use that on your on the test. So header joist and rim joist. Copy down the name. And here is the main definition. It runs the perimeter of the structure. Remember, perimeter is around the outside of it, the outline of the outside. And it creates an outer frame for the floor, for all the floor joists. Okay. Now, the reason that there are two different names and two different names and colors on my last page is header joists run perpendicular to the joists, and rim joists run parallel with the joists. All right, I'm going to go back a slide. If you guys need to pause, you can pause, but I'll come back to this here in a minute. So header joists are in yellow, and they run perpendicular. So you can see all these joists are, they connect directly to the header joist, right? But rim joist runs parallel, so it runs the same direction. No joist is going to touch the rim joist. Okay, I mean, there might be one right beside it, just the way that it's laid out, but it runs the same direction. So this rim joists are not actually fastened to any other joists. The header joist allows a place for each of those to get nailed into, connected to. Okay, all right, back to this over here. Now the nailing pattern. How you fasten this down is you will do a toenail every 6 inches. OC stands for on center. So every 6 inches, you'll drive a nail. And toenail is just the way you drive it. It's going to be diagonal to the side of the header joist and down into the sill plate. We'll get more into that when we get into, when you guys are here in class and we actually put in all of our pieces. All right. If you haven't finished copying this down, pause the video, copy it all down. When you're done, hit play, but I'm moving on. Okay, so here's just a little illustration. You can see some joists, the foundation, the sill plate here, but this board on the end, right here, again, this, they depict it as a band joist. This is your header joist here, and you'll be able to fasten all your joists to it. You can see a few pictures of a variety of floor frames under construction, and this should point out where the header joist and the rim joists are. So starting with this picture here, really make this bigger. Okay. So starting with this picture, down this first board here that's nice and bright, this is the one on this side. Here is your header joist. On the far side of the structure, your board running perpendicular to all your joists, that is your other header joist. So you're going to have 2 header joists for every rectangular section of your floor frame. Now right over here on the end, here is a rim joist. Okay, so you've got your rim joist on this end, and it's going to run in parallel with all the joists. On the far end of the structure this side, there's going to be another rim joist. So there will be 2 headers and 2 rims for every rectangular or square structure. Okay. Now, this the way that this is built up here, it's actually, they're using 2x8 or 2x10 lumber, which we'll talk about joists in here, but essentially your header joist, if you're using dimensional lumber, it's going to be the same as your lumber. So if you're using 2x10 joist, 2x12 joist, you would have the same type for your headers and rims. So you just add some more extra to it. But, and I know it's hard for y'all to see in this video, but if you look real close, you can see nail holes. And they only did 3 nails. If that's a 2x8 or 2x10, 3 doesn't cut. There should be 4 in there to connect all that together. So we've got the header joist here, and they actually have 2 rim joists for added strength and stability. But this is number 1. Number 2, this kind of looks like it, except being built. Actually, they are both built elevated off the ground here. This one is just up a little higher. You can see the support post, things like that here. So, but this actually has a double header and a double rim joist all the way around because it is elevated. So when you go to fasten your walls on here, you can fasten your studs down through the floor into those header joists and rim joists a little bit better. So that's why some people will use 2. It's also stronger. So because it's elevated and it's not sitting directly on a foundation wall, it's better to have 2 headers and 2 rims on all sides. It just adds more strength and more stability. So a lot of decks you can see they're built like this. Anyhow, header joist here, header joist back there. Again, all those regular floor joists end right into it and they're nailed in place, and a rim joist on this side, and a rim joist on that far side. So kind of the same thing. It's just the structure supporting the floor is a little bit different. Now, this lower picture here, this shows you your typical cinder block masonry style foundation wall. You've got the sill plate on top of it, but the type of joist that they use and the type of header and rim joist they use is different. It's a little higher quality, it's better, it's faster to install, but it is also more expensive. And I'll talk more about the differences in joists in the next video. But they're using floor trusses here. Now, typically when you use floor trusses, you've got a couple of options for your headers and your rim joists. What they chose to do here is use a material, and it's specific for wood trusses. It is specific for TJI trusses or wooden I-beams. And this is a type of rim joist material. And essentially it's like OSB, but it's like 1.5 inches thick. And it can be ordered to whatever width, really long lengths. And so this is taking place of the 2x headers, but you still have a piece that goes on the ends of here, and this becomes your header joist, and this becomes your rim joist on this side. Now, there are sometimes a lot of the trusses that we worked with, instead of having a solid piece here, what we did is the trusses were designed with a little notch at the top end of it on the outside, and you would install a 2x4 to help hold them and keep them from knocking over, because the truss is super stable. It doesn't necessarily need this header joist and rim joist like this. It can, you put that 2x4 up and then put OSB on top of it, and you're going to be stable. They're not going to twist and turn because they're all braced on the inside and they're very strong. So this is a little bit different than what you would typically see, but I'll tell you, this is going to be a really high quality, high strength design, and the homeowners are going to be happy with it. They're not going to have any problems with this. So this is like top dollar type thing here. So again, header joist, they run perpendicular to the joist here and there. Rim joist run parallel. And when they're fastened to the sill plate, like you can see, I know it's hard to see in this video, but you can see the cinder blocks, and you can see one color board, that's your sill plate. So you will diagonally nail every 6 inches all the way from one corner to the next corner, all the way down every 6 inches. So that's your nailing pattern. We'll talk more about that when you guys are in class here. So next video that we're going to do is all going to be about floor joists. So I'm going to stop here, and so that's it for this video. However, for today's assignment, there's going to be a floor joist layout video that I want you to watch. But there's more details in your campus assignment about that. All right, thanks for watching. Make sure you write that stuff down, take a photo of your paper, and submit it in this assignment so that's how you can get credit. All right, see you in the next video.